everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about a little reading challenge I set for myself. Now, you all know I love getting lost in a book, but lately, life is a bit busy. Full-time job, family, the usual suspects. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but carving out a dedicated reading time, that has been a struggle. To be honest with you, I've been sick a couple of times throughout these past months, so I thought, hey, why not set a crazy reading goal? Let's see how many books I can read for the duration of my infirmary. I envisioned myself curled up on the couch, surrounded by my books, paperbacks, hardbacks, everything. It was going to be epic. Turns out, epic turned into slightly ambitious. On my regular days between long hours at work, chores, and family time, those mountains usually become plains. Now that work was out of the picture for a couple of weeks, I thought that I can actually climb that mountain of books. But those also became gentle hillocks. Don't get me wrong, I did manage to squeeze some reading. A few stolen moments here and there, listening to an audiobook while doing chores and other hobbies, a couple of pages during lunch, but that massive goal, yeah, it wasn't happening this week. And guess what? That's totally okay. Here's the thing. Life throws curveballs. Sometimes reading goals have to take the back seat. And for me, I had to prioritize my health. But isn't that the thing about reading? That even a few stolen pages, that can transport you to another world. Right now, a few pages of escape is exactly what I need. So to all my fellow busy bees out there, don't feel pressured by those giant reading challenges. Read what you can, when you can, because even a little bit of reading is a win for your mind and soul. Speaking of wins, I did manage to finish an amazing book, and let me tell you all about it. Hello! So that was a bit of a different intro from what I usually do, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think the theme of this video is like when you're really busy, you have too many things going on and you don't really have enough time to sit down and read. And if you're like me, working full-time, you really don't, because by the time that you actually have a day off, you have other things to do like chores and other responsibilities. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. How I read this book was through audiobook. Through that, I'm able to consume a lot more books than I really would have time to do so. So having an audiobook while doing chores and other things really helps. So anyway, The Warm Hands of Ghost by Katherine Arden. So I'm just gonna read kind of what it's about. So this story talks about Laura, who is a combat nurse that was medically discharged during World War I. She goes back home to Halifax. There she serves as a nurse in a civilian hospital. After her shift, she goes home and then she finds this box wherein her brother, because she has a brother who is in the trenches, all his stuff was in this box. Usually, well, based on the book, it says, I don't really know, but I think you get a notice first that a soldier's been missing in action or presumed dead or something like that. But she's never gotten that notice, and she just gets shipped this box full of his stuff. And some thing that was odd as well was his dog tags were there, like both of them, because usually you get soldiers will have a dog tag and one remains with the body and one is sent to the family. It's just a way to identify bodies. Kind of that is kind of the mystery there. Like a lot of things felt odd for Laura. She knows how it goes because she has served as a combat nurse, so she knows like the ins, like how usually things work. She goes out on a mission to kind of find her brother. So this story really, its genre is kind of historical fiction, also has a mix of magical realism. For me, the magical realism element was the weakest bit. Throughout the first half of the book, it builds like the situation or the environment that the world is in during that time. For me personally, I like that bit. Like a lot of people think that it's a bit boring. A lot of people also think that Laura, our main character, is very disconnected and dull. But for me, I personally can relate. I understand Laura and where she's coming from. Laura is a combat nurse and she describes how it was. And it was gruesome. You can smell burning flesh, rotting flesh, a lot of it, just the pure horrors of war. And being a nurse where all of them soldiers, especially like there was one line that really affected me when she says like a soldier, when they're injured and they come to you, you're the sunshine, and then when you're trying to pull out stitches or redress a wound, they will see you as the devil, basically. Like in a way that is kind of the reality. Like I'm not saying that I've served as a combat nurse or anything, but I have worked in healthcare, and I can see how Laura seems detached about like how she describes, seeing a soldier with his abdomen open and you can see their insides coming out kind of thing. Like when you're in a specific job that entails you seeing grim things and horror that usually you don't see every day, well hopefully you don't see every day, you kind of build this kind of like compartmentalism. Like you build this kind of, you see it, and then your brain, to protect you and let you carry on with the duties and responsibilities you're expected to do, it kind of shuts it out. It's not that you're not compassionate about it, you still are, but it's just that you need to still carry on and help people. For me, just the description of things, very vivid, really tells a lot about how it was, even though this is a work of fiction. Now, a little more in-depth conversation about the magical realism aspect of this book is that I feel like that's where it falls flat. Basically, in the trenches, you have this kind of mysterious guy. He's a civilian, he's not a soldier, and he just walks about and invites people to have a drink. And suddenly this magical hotel or magical restaurant or magical bar or whatever you feel like your favorite place is suddenly appear there, and then you would walk in and it gives you wine, any drink that you want, in exchange for stories. So he's basically the devil. That's kind of where the magical realism falls weak, in a way where our main characters do meet the devil and there's no question or no investigation on what this means and what impact this has on people, because knowing that the devil's there, the devil exists, wouldn't God exist? Like nobody's questioned it throughout the book. Nobody's talked about it in a sense of their own kind of faith. Or magical realism was sprinkled throughout the book, but it was more heavy at the very last act. But you didn't get any discussion, like what was it trying to say? And I get, like, sometimes for me, magical realism in a fiction book is a way for an author to be able to send a message to the readers. It's easier to explain emotions or events when there is kind of this superstitious or folklore magical realism element in a book. And I feel like this has failed to kind of go in depth into faith in a way, like, because again, the events of where this book is taking place, hell on earth. Tolkien, he served in World War I, and he saw how horrible it was, and he used that to kind of influence Mordor in his books. So I wish that like the author expanded more. I feel like that's where it just fell short. Also, going back to Laura, our main character, I felt like her story, it was really compelling at the very beginning. The love story at the very end was unnecessary. By the end of the book, she had plot armor. Like, she got handed everything that she needed to be able to save her brother. Like, she literally just walked out from the devil's lair. I get it, you kind of want a happy ending, but it was disjointed to the first part of the book. Other characters in this story were just kind of placed there in order to serve a purpose for our two main characters. This twist at the end, honestly, really unnecessary. Like, it didn't have to be that way. At the very last act, everything just tied into a little neat bow. It's the weakest part of the book for me. Anyway, my kind of takeaway from this book is that It portrays the trials, the loss, and the grim reality of World War I to an audience that might not have time, the opportunity, or kind of like just the motivation to actually research about it. Although this book is a work of fiction, it still gives us, the readers, the opportunity to kind of have a little glimpse of what it might have been like. This book kind of gave me that opportunity to reflect. I appreciate this book for that. Anyway, I know this review is a bit jumbled up. It's kind of hard to concentrate as well because Billy's there. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like it. Leave a comment down below. Anything will do, even an emoji. Yeah, see you next time.